So a few months ago, I had recorded a video on the steps to getting yourself out of bed when you can't sleep. And I'll link this video here so that you can actually go ahead and watch it. And so this video will complement that one because I had a question, a comment on the video saying, how long should I stay out of bed before I try to go back into my bed? And I really want to address that question because something I missed in the last video, and it really is dependent on each person. So that's what I want to explain today. Like, what is the difference between sleepiness and tired? And how do I know when to try going back to bed after I've done the whole process of getting out of bed when I'm not able to sleep? So my name is Carol Richard. I am the founder of the Sleep Success Academy, where we help people really get into the mindset of better sleep. And we do this by looking at our emotions, our emotional well-being, our behaviors, and our thoughts and belief. If you haven't already done so, you can get a copy of my free guide, 5 action steps to improve the quality of your sleep. You do that by going to my website, sleepsuccessacademy.com, scrolling down on the homepage about halfway through, and you can put your name and email address right there, and a copy of the guide will land in your mailbox, your email box. And at the same time, you'll get subscribed to my email list where every week when I do this video, you'll get it in your email. As well, don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that you can find it easier next time. All right, so yes, getting out of bed is, a part of the cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. They talk about not staying in bed if you're not able to sleep. Just really great thing in a sense of if we stay in bed, we're creating the negative sleep association with our bed, where our mind and body then believes that it's okay to stay in bed and ruminate and think and feel frustrated. And for some people, just laying there with no emotions at all, but the mind and the body just aren't getting to sleep. And so I had given this, I think it was 8 steps in the last video, 6 or 8 steps. And I'll link the video again here. So it was called Should You Stay in Bed If You Can't Sleep, or something like that. So I'll link that video there. Go watch it. And you're doing the steps to retrain your mind and body that the bed is actually the place where we want to sleep and not stay awake. And so once we do that, at some point we're getting out of bed, we're sitting on the couch. The question was, when do I know to go back to bed and try again? And I also had shared my experience of having gotten sick, and it was coughing that kind of gave me this panic feeling. And because I have suffered with insomnia in the past, it kind of quickly rewired back to that, right? Our brain really is built to look for the negative and wanting to keep us safe. And that's why that happens quickly. And it's up to us then to kind of do the work to rewire it back the way it was. And it took me about 3 nights that time to get out of bed, do this process, and go back. But how did I judge when it was time to go back to bed is when we have that sleepy feeling come on, not the tired feeling. There's such a big difference between feeling tired and feeling sleepy. And just because it's coming in my mind right now, I have this client who she feels really sleepy and she goes to bed, but the minute her head hits the pillow, she bounces wide awake again. And so that is something that happens when our like arousal or our wake system kicks in. Something in her nervous system just activated in that moment when she put her head on the pillow, that even though she was sleepy, all of a sudden, boom, she's wide awake again. That happens quite often to people, and they think there's something wrong with them, and there's nothing wrong. It's just that something got triggered in your amygdala, in that emotional center of the brain, that said, it's not safe to go to sleep right now in this bed. And it wakes you up again. And it's that arousal, that fight or flight system. And so in that case, we really need to work on re-regulating the nervous system, doing some tapping on the belief that once I put my head on the pillow, I'll wake up again, switching that belief and really helping the whole system calm down. So when we go, we stay sleepy. We don't re-wake when we hit the pillow. So those are just different examples. But for the question is like, how do I know? Just tune in with yourself. Ask yourself, do I feel tired? Do I feel sleepy? And so the difference between that, like if you had a really busy, active day, let's say you were out hiking, you were gardening, you were on your feet a lot, you just had a lot of physical exertion. Come 6, 7 o'clock at night, you might feel tired, right? So your body is tired, but you're not sleepy. You're not nodding off. You're not feeling like you could fall asleep. You're just, so trying to go to bed early because you're tired will not cause you to go to sleep. For some people, it might, but you don't have that sleepy feeling. It's the same thing when I'm sitting there in the middle of the night and I'm trying to get the sleepy feeling to come back. How do I get myself to that sleepy feeling? So don't go until you're sleepy. So some steps you could do, or not steps, but some ways you could tap to help your body regulate again, because that's what we want. We want the nervous system to calm down again, so it brings a sleepy feeling back. You could use tap and breathe. I have a video on that. I will link it. So it's just really like tapping the point gently, or touch and breathe, using your breath to bring the calming signal down by touching the end point of the meridian, just allowing the nervous system to calm down. And what I like to say, a word or mantra that I like to use often is, right here, right now, I'm safe. There's no physical reason in my environment that I need to be awake for right now, right? Just touching the point. It really is just a program that just kicked in again, naming what it is, touch and breathe. So that would be one way. Just, I'm okay right now. Like, I'm going to survive this. I've done it in the past. So, one example, do and say the words that feel right for you. A second thing is, I did also record a video on how you could tap through this while you're sitting on the couch. So I'll link that as well. Can't really remember the name. I think it's something about being reluctant to getting out of bed when you can't sleep. It was a client of mine that she had this issue. We did some tapping, and then boom, she started getting out of bed and getting herself back in bed, and it worked for her. It took a few days, but it worked. So there's that video I'll link. And really, that is really about naming what's happening. And then my favorite thing to do when I can't sleep in the middle of the night is actually sitting on the couch and ranting while I'm tapping. And I'm ranting on either the frustration that I can't sleep. So rant tapping, there's a video on that as well. Just like, I can't sleep. Oh my God. And a lot of explicit language when I do this one that I won't say here, but just like, oh, this is so frustrating. I'm so tired of not being able to sleep. Just naming the emotions that's going on. So we're not doing that in order to like be the victim and sit in that energy. We're doing it so that we can release it. And what happens every time is, if sometimes it can take me 20 minutes, depending on the night, but I say 20 minutes of sitting there like, oh, I'm so frustrated, tapping, sending that calming signal to the amygdala allows the energy to release. And like after about 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to go back. But when I try to go back, I know if I'm laying in my bed and 5 minutes in, I'm like, yeah, that I wasn't enough. I'm not calm enough. I'm not sleepy enough. I'm not going to go to sleep. I get back out, within a few minutes. So don't lay there for like another 20 minutes, even though I suggest 20 minutes, but after 5 minutes, if this is not going to be the time you're going to go to sleep. So getting out of bed, doing the process again. So really, the answer of the question again, how do I know when to go back to bed, is when the sleepy feeling comes in. And sometimes we know that because we start nodding off, and we don't want to nod off on the couch. We don't want to make that the new sleep association. We want to really train our mind and body back to the bed. So I hope that answered your question. There's no one answer specific amount of time. There's just, what does it feel like in your body? So really training yourself to listen to your body, your nervous system, and following its cues that will let you know if it's time for you to go back to bed or not. So that's it for today. Again, if you have any questions, never hesitate to email support@sleepsuccessacademy.com, and I'll answer any questions that you have, or leave a comment on this with further question, and I'll be sure to answer. That's it for today.